I've been working in integration BU for some time, and I worked on Ballerina, and then I worked on the integration cloud. Now I'm actually working on the on-prem part of the integration. So I'll talk about actually all three of these components. So all of these components are actually what makes WSO2 Integrator, plus of course the MI, which I'm not going to cover in this talk much. Hopefully I can go to the next slide. Should be the green button. Oh, oof. Okay. So quick run through of what I'm going to cover. So I'm going to talk about traditional. So throughout this talk, I'm going to map all of these to actual product features. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about each of these and then show our product and then how it matches, how it maps. I'm going to start by talking about traditional integration foundation. If you were in the previous panel discussions also, they also highlighted that the fact that the integrations still matter, the traditional integration, non-AI, just good old reliable integrations still matter. And why do they matter? And then I'm going to talk about MCP servers, and then I'm going to talk about Gen AI applications that are not agentic, right? So that's basically a stepping stone to going agentic. Finally, we are going to talk about the agentic applications we've been talking about this whole conference, and then finally, how we do this agentic thing in the proper, with all the best practices we have learned over the years, how we apply them to the agentic world. Okay. Now, let's talk about why traditional integrations matter. So there are two ways you give agents power. That is through actions and through knowledge, right? So I'm going to talk about how these two pillars are actually made out of the traditional integrations we all know, and maybe knowledge is a little bit new, but these still matter, right? And then how these can be part of the agentic workflows during, before, and after the agentic part of the integrations. Okay, so how these slides are organized is the top one, the below one is how things will look in our the development time experience, which I'm not going to focus much because that's what you've been looking at this whole time. The other one is our cloud experience, how you deploy, how you weave this in the cloud, WSO2 Integration Cloud. So I think Shafrin talked these things as triggers. I call them endpoints. Either way, what we're talking about is these APIs, automations, events, and file integrations that acts as the input point to any integration, right? So these still will be your entry points even if you have agentic workflows. And there was a good question, like whether these are tools, right? So actually, that's a very good point. Have you looked at things like OpenClaw, Hermes kind of things, right? So those are not very talked about in the agentic world just yet, but I think they're going to be very big topic in the agentics, in the enterprise side as well. In that aspect, yes, these become tools into the feeding into the agents. But these how we start is getting these inputs from these entry points using traditional integrations, right? So all of these are supported in our both of the cloud and the development process. Okay, next, we talked about this. So I think Anupama covered it in detail, so I'm not going to go too much detail. So the traditional integrations, we support these two visual and low code and pro code views, and we have the support to open that in the cloud itself. So you don't have to go to the tool. You can quickly open it up in the cloud itself and verify it, do small changes, even commit and redeploy. And connections, also Anupama mentioned, these are again part of your traditional integrations, but those now become the actions of the agents that agents can leverage. Finally, to close off these sections, what I want to highlight is these traditional integrations become reliable actions of the agent, right? So you have traditional integrations that you have already developed, and these are what gives your agent the power to act upon your enterprise. And also, this gives you a good way to have reusable logic across your BUs, across your organization. And then these, again, act as the entry points where the agents can get events, triggers, and so on, right? So this is why you still need to have a very good base layer of your traditional integrations. Otherwise, if you don't have this base layer, this foundation, your whole journey will be shaky, right? Right. And next, I'm going to talk about how we support MCP servers. I think you all earlier saw how you develop MCP servers. I'm going to show this is how the MCP servers will appear in WSO2 Integration Cloud. You can see the tools. You can see how it is deployed. I'm going to talk about in agent section as well. So these all get deployed like a traditional integration, how we deploy a traditional integration. So all of the power, like for example, reliability, security, all of that automatically get inherited when you deploy them into WSO2 Integration Cloud. And I want to especially highlight that MCPs are very good way to get started in your integration journey, because that enables rest of your team to start building on top of what you already have. And we just have released this feature, so it might be not available today, but very soon, next week probably. We have this one-click button to convert your services into MCP servers. So there's not even code or anything like that. You just go to your API, click a button, it becomes MCP server. So then you might ask, why did we learn about how to build MCP servers? So this is good for when you have tiny API surface, but if you have a complex API, you probably prefer to wrap it, improve it, and provide it in a slightly different way so that the agent can understand it better. But if you have a small API and you want to make it accessed by agents via MCPs, this is perfectly good way to do it. And then on top of that, we have quick testing for MCP servers in the UI itself. So you can say it works in my machine, but as once you deploy it, often has small bugs or configuration issues, right? This will quickly help you to weed out those configuration issues before you roll out to the next environment, before you roll out to prod, right? So this is quick smoke testing. So this is not those harness-based, evaluation-based, long-running tests Shafrin talked about. These are, but still this is very useful when you day-to-day develop. Right, next I'm going to talk about generative AI integrations. So this is before you graduate into working with full agentic workflows, you might have generative AI integrations that use LLMs, but not fully agentic yet. But what do I mean by that is It can give you some information. It can do summarization tasks. It can feed into your rest of your deterministic integrations, but it's not a full-fledged agent yet. So for these kind of things, one of the key things you need is, let's say you're doing a query, you need RAG ingestion, right? So this RAG ingestion is supported by as a first-class feature of Integration Cloud. What you can see is you can fully configure this via UI. You can give a place, you can give basically a S3 bucket or somewhere you put your knowledge, and this will take it, chunk it, and then put it to your preferred vector database. Even to you can provision the database within the platform itself as well. So this is very useful because a lot of these tools you have one-time upload tasks, but that's not what you want. You want this to continuously run so you don't get stale data. Say your company has a bunch of PDFs, a bunch of documents, a bunch of knowledge that you constantly keep updating. This will scrape that and update the database, update your knowledge base continuously. And you can also expose this as a service. So this is useful for when you have this queried from a different integration. Basically, take the RAG part out and deploy it as a separate service. Right. So what you can do with this knowledge base, of course, you can feed this into agents, which I think you are familiar. But even before that, you can just feed it into your existing normal LLM calling integrations. So we have this retrieve action, retrieve connection action, from which you can retrieve this, and then you can hand it over to a plain LLM call. Let's say you're doing a summarization, you're doing you're taking a decision to if else situation, for example, right? So you want to check something like, is the customer is happy about this commit? So you can feed this, just get the LLM feedback, right? So for that, another powerful thing is our agent, our LLM calling action returns typed data. So you don't have to do the string parsing. You don't have to do anything like that. You get structured output, and that structured output get mapped into a real type. So you can do basically if else, or you can get a number out of the LLM if you want to use that in a more deterministic integration afterwards. Right. So far now we build the base, right? We build the base of that needs to write your agents. We build the action side by creating traditional integrations. We create the action side by creating these MCPs. And then we created the knowledge by creating RAG. Now we are ready to build these powerful agents. So the agents building, I'm not going to go too detailed because it's already been covered. It's already been covered by, hopefully you attended the labs as well. But I'm going to quickly run through just a feature list, and then I'll talk about the deployment stuff, right? So when you develop agents, you can configure the model, you can configure the prompt, you can give the tools. Tools you can write in the editor itself, or you can connect to external MCPs, or you can connect to external connectors, which we talked about already, which we have 600 plus of. And then you can run them, you can debug them, you can validate the tools that you have already you wrote for this. You can also evaluate this. All this is, I think, Shafrin showed, and also in the lab you already saw this. Right? But now you have this agent ready. What's your next step, right? Your next step is to deploy this into WSO2 integration cloud, which you can do with a single click of a button from the IDE. Or you can go to the integration cloud UI, like I'm showing here. You can link to the GitHub or Git where you committed, and then load it from there. So either way, you will end up your agent in the integration cloud. So the cool thing is we are leveraging our integration platform that we have built over the years. So you will these agents get deployed as with the same set of features as any of your other integrations. What that means is you'll get the advantage of our cell-based architecture, which means you'll have a very defined way of connecting to the outside. You will have a gateway which is secure when you are talking to coming through internet, and you will have you have tools that maybe doesn't reach internet. Only the agent can connect. All of that infrastructure we have built over the years for our integration, you will automatically inherit when you deploy into integration cloud. So this also gives you automatically our build flow of the cloud, integration cloud, which is you load from source and then we build it. So this is a clean build that happens in the cloud, so you don't get all these supply chain attacks we've been hearing about last couple of weeks, and then even last couple of years. So and then we automatically provision it to dev environment where you can run the tests. I showed you earlier how you can even quickly test MCP service in the UI. Same way you can also test the chat interface in the UI itself, or you can connect your test suites, you can connect your evals, you can connect your external evals into the dev environment, and you can promote this into production. So this is how it's going to look like when you deploy a chat agent into our cloud, and then you can give the configurations. Of course, you need to give model name, maybe like a secret key. Of course, you have to give to connect to these LLMs. All of these are provisioned per environment, and then you can configure who can give these secrets, who can even edit it. No one will be able to see it, of course. And then when you promote this from environment to environment, you can change these values. So these are all best practices we inherit from when we do normal integrations, but we inherit those for our AI integrations as well. Next, observability. So we have default observability that comes through the platform where you can monitor the traffic coming in. In that case, the traffic would be the traffic you send to the chat API. But we are also working on the tracing in this version. Yeah, we are currently working on it. It is not exposed yet. And we are also working with Massive for close integration with the API insights. So this is also something that we are that's coming soon. So of course you can already have workflows where you have the human in the loop part, as Shafrin mentioned. Shafrin gave an example of having that as an email. You can also have that as a Jira or GitHub issue. So agent creates an issue, human goes and fills the issue, and then we come back. But of course, we are going to support that as a native UI very soon. So this long-running workflow will be completely managed within the platform without going to the external systems. And we have this flexible development pattern. So far I showed you how this works in WSO2 Cloud, which have this control plane, data plane, and you can bring data planes, even private data planes. You can have multiple data planes. And we also support self-hosted solution, which I'm going to talk about next. We have done a major upgrade to the self-hosted control plane with this release. And our plan long-term is to support the user experience of the self-hosted integrations to be very similar to WSO2 Cloud experience, WSO2 Integration Cloud experience. So this is the self-hosted view, how it will look like. So this is the integration control plane component of the latest WSO2 Integrator. So you can deploy this on-prem, and with the coming versions of WSO2 Integration Cloud, you will see the same UI, even down to the buttons, colors, everything will be replicated in both sides. So you can have a very similar experience whether you are on-prem or you are on cloud. So we support monitoring, logs, changing log levels, fine-grained access control, all that in the on-prem as well now. All right, and then finally, this is about how this is all I talked about so far is WSO2 Integration Cloud, but with these multiple streams, you probably heard there are a lot of features coming from rest of the WSO2 Cloud as well, rest of the WSO2 platform in general. Which is agent identity and guardrails and evaluations. So we will seamlessly work with them as we go, right? So, and with that, I think I'm coming to the end. So key message is WSO2 integration platform is for building robust integrations, not just AI integrations, all kinds of integrations, right? But we see the agentic integrations have two ways it get power from, which is through having knowledge bases and through having actions. So both of which are integrations that you can develop using WSO2 integration platform. So not just the agent, what agent stands on is also built using the WSO2 integration platform, and that's why WSO2 integration platform can be a key driver in agentic enterprise. All right, with that, let me end the talk.